What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're on episode 76, Unusual Suspects. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We love you guys to death. Guys, we have a lot of topics today. RFK is going to be making. He's supposed to make his announcement at what time, Rob? 2
o'clock.
2 o'clock. He's going to make his announcement. We're going to play it live here for you guys. I'm going to go around introduce everybody really quick for some of the new people that are here. We have Connor Walcott, beautiful man, writer. He changed his hair. Brandon Aceto's in the casa with his freaking muscular legs. Rob Gargiulo is in the house with his nice beards.
I also have muscular legs.
Yes. Humberto's here, and you're trying to make a run for the money with the hair situation.
It's a contest.
Like, be honest. Like, it's like luxurious. People look at that. Look at that hair, and then look at this. Look. And I cut mine. And Kelly's in the back. Hi, we don't have a camera, but you guys
Best
can hear
hair.
Kelly. She's in the
Best
back.
hair.
Guys, I'm gonna run through the stories really fast. We have a bunch of them because we want to get ready for RFK's announcement, which we kind of know what's going to be happening, but you never know. It's politics. I'm going to be talking about the two Boeing astronauts. Well, they're astronauts, but they took a Boeing as if they didn't know something was going to go wrong. Rob Gargiulo, Microsoft is spying on us. Weird. Isn't that weird? Connor, fluoride in the water is making kids dumb.
They're not turning the freaking frogs gay, but they are making your kids stupid.
I love it. Well,
What if the water makes the kids gay?
Oh, my God. You never know.
Twist.
What do you mean, what
It works
if?
in the frogs. It works in the frogs.
The kids are all gay.
Brandon's going to be talking about the truth about drugs.
Teach
and
you guys
he told
about
me
drugs.
Some of the stats you told me before here were freaking bananas. And Umberto, DEI companies are turning away.
An uplifting segment for a change.
Finally,
something good.
Something positive. I
Something
appreciate
positive.
it. Yeah. So as I said before, to everybody that's there, our number ones, we love you guys to death. If you're here and you're new, we're happy to have you. Thank you for being here. Guys, if you can right now, please subscribe to the channel. We are growing, guys. We've grown 10,000 in the past month.
Like a rocket ship that doesn't get stuck in space.
It doesn't get stuck in space because we're not a Boeing company, all right? We're Valuetainment. And we appreciate you guys more than you know. So listen, guys, I'm not going to waste time. Let's get right into it. So it's been 3 months, if anybody's been paying attention. These two NASA astronauts, I want to say her name right, Sunita Williams and Barry Butch Wilmore, found themselves stranded aboard the International Space Station because of malfunctioning Boeing Starliner spacecraft. God, shout out to Boeing, guys. They'll not only try to kill you on Earth,
2 for 2. 2 for 2.
they're going into
Above
space.
and beyond.
Above and
This is
beyond.
going to be a really rough segment for all of our fans who don't actually believe in outer space.
Oh, yeah.
So you can go ahead and disregard Vinny right off the bat if you don't believe in
They're
it. But
floating around.
For those of us who do believe that outer space actually exists,
Yeah,
there's people
for you
stuck
guys,
in it.
for these
On the
people,
fence on that one.
these guys are underwater, apparently floating around. But whatever. So
Wherever the ISS is, they're stuck in it.
yeah, exactly. You figure that one out yourself. So the Starliner was once to believe. Check this out. It was once believed to be a new era in American spaceflight. It has been plagued with technical issues since the inception. Brandon, if you're gonna go on something and they're like, yeah, the one that you're going on is plagued with issues, are you going into outer space with it?
First of all, going on a spaceship or going on a submarine is one of the last things I would ever do, and let alone being plagued. So,
It's like what I don't know, bro. And like, dude, they have Brandon, sit up. Malfunctioning thrusters and a leaky helium tank have prevented the spacecraft from returning to Earth. So engineers back here from NASA are working on the diagnosis to fix the problem. They're using a replica test engine that they think they've pinpointed the root cause. But the messed up thing is, additional time is needed for the solution to be implemented in space. Now, the prolonged stay has forced NASA to consider alternative options. One possibility, guys, Elon Musk to the rescue. They're gonna utilize SpaceX Dragon. I mean, dude, there's more stuff up there from Elon. Well, Rob, you have that look.
It's very interesting that the International Space Station is only 254 miles from Earth. Do you understand that the International Space Station is actually 2,380,855 miles away from the moon? So you're telling me in the 60s, we were able to travel the entire distance from not only to the space station, but to the moon. Yeah. But now we can't go up 300 miles. We were able to travel 300,000 miles. And now 300 miles is an issue for
think about how close that's like.
That's interesting.
I know.
Brandon, that's
like
near to Tampa.
Yeah, exactly. What is it like from New York to California? That's like 1,000 miles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a third of the
Oh,
U.S.
wait, from New York to where?
New York to California, that's like
New York to
1,000
Cali's-
miles.
No, it's well, I think it's 3,200. And that's how much, Cal? I think it's like
Is it
3,000.
3,000?
Yeah,
That's even worse.
It's 2,918 miles. Wow, Kelly, for the win.
Kelly.
You beat the computer.
Kelly!
How is that even possible? Wow, human beats AI for the first time.
Chat GBT Kelly.
Send her there immediately.
Yeah,
Save the
Kelly.
astronauts.
But no, Rob, you make a great point. It's like it's not far. But by the way, and you would think at this point, with all the tragedy that we've happened, with all these space rockets and explosions and Challenger, like helium tank leakage, malfunctions with it's like what are we doing? And by the way, it's Boeing. Like, can Boeing do anything right? Like, can we be honest with each other?
They're a fucking parasite to the taxpayer. That's what they are. No, like a third of their revenue comes from the military-industrial complex spending. So they get free money to build the stuff, and they became a monopoly after the 90s when they stopped spending more money on the military stuff, consolidated from 200 companies to 5 companies. So they don't have to be held accountable. They don't have competition, so they don't have to worry about somebody else being better than them. And this is the result.
And guess what? If anybody speaks up, those people get in their car and they shoot themselves.
They're really good at that.
They kill themselves. Yeah. Oh God. It's like you
whistleblowers.
say the truth and you go, you know what? I've done what I need to do on this earth. I'm going up.
Well, all the
They skip- Oh, go ahead.
all the whistleblowers that keep dropping. That's what's going to happen when you're telling everybody that one of the biggest defense contractors in the world is building space shuttles out of Lego bricks. Like they send astronauts up there. Like, why would you, as an astronaut, get onto a thing that had a Boeing logo on it?
Yeah.
When you've seen planes that have Boeing logos on them falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
Because they're falling apart and can't keep the doors on.
Who's on the chat right now? Is it Amy?
Oh, yeah. No. I'm
Oh,
on
are
the
you?
chat.
Can you do me a
I'm-
favor?
I'm
Run a poll. Oh, run a poll. Okay,
Chat.
run a poll.
All
Would you
right.
rather go to space on a Boeing or an Elon Musk spacecraft?
All right.
I'm genuinely, because you know some people. I guarantee you, Rob, it's gonna be.
Well, we need to start a baseline. For our audience, it should be, is there a space? Yes or no? And then we decide what vehicle we use to get there.
I love our guess what? Say what you want, but our audience, I love you guys. They're skeptical, and they should be. You don't trust everybody just off their freaking word. After that movie I saw with Pat, what was it? Fly Me to the Moon?
Yeah.
Horrible movie. They're like, they showed it that the CIA built a fake stage, and then you didn't know, were they really on it? Were they not? But what were you gonna say, Connor?
Well, I was going to say, like, if space exists, would you go? Or, like, does space exist? If it exists, would you go? If you would go, would you get on Boeing or a Tesla SpaceX ship? Or would you get on one that I built in my garage out of Legos?
Dude,
All right, it's already running 98%. And
Who's the 2%?
I know
Space?
they have a death wish.
Yeah.
98% doesn't believe it's space? Or
No,
is
that's
it-
the Musk Boeing.
No, if I had to guess,
Damn it.
if I had to guess, Robbie, it'd be our audience would be 38%. If I
Yeah.
had to guess,
Has anybody here ever actually seen a SpaceX rocket launch?
yes,
In
It's
person.
wild. Oh, not in person. But I have. I seen one at Vandenberg Air Force Base. Not a SpaceX.
So I
Regular.
went. I took my son. I have a camper van, and we decided. They announced that they were going to be sending up the first manned pilots
Yeah.
on a SpaceX spacecraft. So I took my son. I was like, "Hey, this is history. We should go and see it."
Mm-hmm.
It's so different from the way that they used to launch these rocket
Yeah.
ships. My wife grew up in the Cocoa Beach area, and she tells me that growing up, they would watch. They wouldn't even have to leave. They'd go to the beach and watch the shuttle launches, and the entire Earth would
is
shake.
shaking.
Today, it was so cool to watch because when we went and saw it, you hear it, but there's no movement. It's just a rocket that goes up super smooth. It's not like huge rocket boosters that are blowing smoke. It's like the Tesla of air travel. It's very interesting to watch. I was kind of disappointed. I was like, oh, I wanted to shake.
I want that gas to come in my face.
Yeah, exactly. But the other part was like, wow, that is so cool. Look at the innovation that Elon Musk has made and the great people at SpaceX for innovating or revolutionizing space travel.
Yeah, and by the way, the agency has said that they have to, like, guys, it's crunch time. I know Kelly put up that thing earlier where it's like it's gonna get to a point where they have 96 hours of oxygen. Because guys, they're gonna run out of oxygen at some point. All right, and NASA has said that the decision's going to come as early as Saturday to find out what the hell they're going to do with these people. And I mean, think about what's at stake: NASA's reputation and Boeing. I mean, Boeing is rad. But you know what? There could be. This is a special. I don't know. None of you guys. Do you know this? Any of you guys know the significant political consequences to this? Who knows? Kelly? Any of you guys know the political consequences? Guess who was the head of the National Space Council? Kamala Harris.
Oh,
yeah.
I am not Rob. Fact check.
Hold on. I will.
Fact check. Who is the head of the National Space Council? Obviously, she's not in charge of the rockets and all this stuff, but who's in charge? Who's in charge?
Wow. Who is the head of the National Space Council? According to, whitehouse.gov, under the leadership of its chair, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, my.
The NSPC advises and assists the president on the development and implementation of space policy and strategy. Wow.
Rob,
Everything she
but-
touches. Everything
but-
she touches.
Yo, can you
To make the economy better.
Can you imagine this? Yo, picture Rob right now. You're an astronaut. You're an astronaut. You're just up there in space, and you're like, wait a minute. I'm on a Boeing, and then you find out Kamala's in charge. Look at Rob's face.
I'd rather have her than, I guess, Pete Buttigieg, because
Oh,
he's
no.
in charge of the trains.
Oh,
and that
he's
ain't
the
going well
worst.
either.
Well, Vinny, there is a solution for these astronauts actually who are stuck up there, and they're talking about how they need to send a SpaceX craft up there to try to get them back.
Yeah.
SpaceX already has a contract to bring the ISS down to Earth and crash it into the ocean in 2030 when they decommission it.
Oh, really?
How's that
So,
for
like,
the environment?
if they can just hold them up there until then, you can just bring them back down
Yeah,
and
just
crash
have
them
them
into
crash
the
in the
ocean.
water? Yeah. How bad is that
no,
for the-
no return? Just
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, is
crash
that thing
them down.
safe just to crash in the ocean?
Oh, they're cooked.
Oh, they're.
That's how wasteful the government is. That was the most expensive thing in all of history to build.
Yeah.
That's their solution for it, is to bring it down, crash into the ocean,
Yeah,
get
they
it
don't
down
give a
here.
damn.
And
Kill all the fish.
They only built the parts on it to last for like 35 years, give or take.
Yeah.
So that's why they have to decommission it, because they need to build a whole new one because the parts are going to wear out.
Oh, man.
Who wouldn't have thought that that would be a problem?
And by the way, to go back to the campaign thing, I think Trump's team should 100% use this if they haven't. Have they mentioned
Yeah.
anything like that? Trump should be like, she's the border czar, and now she's the star czar.
That's good.
She's terrible.
Sounds like a
She's
Pokemon.
terrible. No, I would bring it up. I'd be like, they're not going to, hey, listen. He's like, I'm sorry. They're probably not going to make it. She's in charge.
But Vinny, think of this.
Yeah.
Imagine Trump with Elon at the lunch for the rescue. That'd be the best
Oh.
campaign moment.
If I was
in
him,
the history
yo,
of the world.
If I was him, I would get on a rocket ship, go up there, and just go have a podcast with them.
Yeah, here's your oxygen.
Yeah.
You're trapped in the ISS. You're running out of food and water and oxygen. You're in this little enclosed space, and then suddenly a ship docks. The hatch opens, and Donald Trump in a Tesla.
Oh
a SpaceX
my
space
God, bro,
suit
that'd
comes
be
out.
the-
brings Trump steaks. Are you guys
I'm here
ready?
to help.
Do you guys think they're smashing, by the way?
Well, I was just,
come on.
By the way,
Guy and a
listen.
girl?
In all honesty, I swear to you, Kelly, this has been happening all day. She's my witness. I'm thinking stuff and it's coming out. I was just gonna go. I don't know if they're married or not. But at what point do you go?
think they
Listen,
are.
we might die here.
Exactly.
You might die here.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a very good question. I don't know. Has anybody ever had sex in space?
Yes.
Space sex on SpaceX?
Had to have.
There's 2 reports from Russian astronauts.
Seriously?
Yeah,
That might be
unofficial
wild.
ones.
That might be
but they're
wild.
allowed.
Can you imagine that you're just sitting there, Rob? You're like, what's floating? Like, guys, what are you doing back there?
I saw this. I want to show you guys this graphic, and maybe I can show it to the camera. But speaking of Elon, how cool would this administration be? Trump, Elon, J.D. Vance, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek. How cool would that be if that was actually
Nice zoom, Kelly.
yeah,
I didn't even know our
Wow.
cameras could
zoom
do that.
in?
By the way, no, that's Kelly. Yeah. That is, dude, that is so sick. So I wrote this down. So if Elon and SpaceX do get involved, and they get these people home, could you imagine the commercial for SpaceX? It's like, I had to write this down. You want to explore the cosmos? Go with Boeing. But if you need a ride back, go with SpaceX. And then just go SpaceX, because round trips shouldn't be one-way tickets. Bro, if I was
Hire
SpaceX,
this guy.
I would be taking advantage of the situation. But
They're probably
yeah,
building something.
dude, I'm just saying, like, that feeling in your gut of not knowing, and then obviously knowing that you're on Boeing's thing. I mean, those people are, I think they're cooked. I think they're cooked.
This is
Could
too
you do,
good.
Yeah, do another, I want to know, I just want to know if what's the percentage of people thinking that they're going to make it back or not? Anyway, okay. All right, guys, I want to keep moving on. Rob, right
Yes.
before we walked in, you said Microsoft is spying on all of us. Please elaborate.
Yes, by the way, we have a bunch of new people that have joined since we started. So just so you guys know, in 25 minutes from now, RFK Jr. is going to make his announcement from Arizona regarding his 2024 candidacy, and we are going to be streaming that live with reaction, so stick around for that.
Beautiful.
But I do want to talk about Microsoft AI and trading the ease of convenience for your security. Would you guys be interested in having your computers take screenshots of your activities, so at any point you could go back, say you were doing research for Pat. That's what Brandon does here at Valuetainment. Say, Brandon, you were going through and you found a website and you meant to mark it or bookmark it, but you forgot and you moved on. But as you're going back through your research, you're like, man, It sucks. I wish that I would have had that screenshot, or I wish I would know what website I went to. Well, what if there was a way where Microsoft would allow you to go and look at all of the screenshots from your computer that it's recording in real time, and you could go back and find that website? Would you like that?
No, because if something seems important to me, I take a screenshot of it myself. So I don't think that that's needed, and I think that's a great way to track.
And besides the perversion stuff, like your banking, your codes, and guys, let's be honest with each other. They're obviously watching everything. I love when people are like, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, Bo, nothing like right now, even if your phone is off, this is a fact. They're listening, and I get it. But when it comes to personal stuff like that, I just don't want it floating around somewhere.
So there's 2 clips. If you have not watched, they're gonna. Humberto, can you let them know when they're gonna go out? But there are 2 clips from today's interview that Pat did with ethical hacker Ryan Montgomery. The interview went live this morning at 9 a.m. If you have not watched it, go to the PBD Podcast channel and you can watch it. But there are 2 specific clips where Ryan breaks down tech. He actually shows how easy it is to hack your phone at any point. What he has is these cords, and these cords, Vinny, have small computers inside of them. So what they'll do is, look, I have one right here, which, by the way, I got from Tony R. Booker. How do I know that he doesn't work for the CIA?
He's Middle Eastern, too. You can't trust that guy.
Oh, no, Assad or somebody. But look, here's the cord, right? This cord, that guy had a whole bunch of these for every different phone, for every different type of USB port, and he can plug them into your phone here, and then you just go, hey, I need a charger, my phone's going to die. Here, borrow this one. You plug it into your phone, you plug it into the computer, and they can hack your phone. It's super simple. But now Microsoft is making it even easier for people to obtain that information on your home desktop computer with the rollout of the Recall artificial intelligence search feature. What it's going to do on your Microsoft Windows computers beginning in October, Recall will take screenshots of activity on your screen people can search for information they saw earlier. Security researchers expressed concerns about the risk of Microsoft's Windows automatically capturing images without users opt-in. So I'm wondering if you guys would be ever interested in ever trading your privacy for the ease of convenience.
Rob,
like this.
Absolutely not, and I'm shocked. So Rob, if that plugs in, so if you go, yeah, bro, let me use it. So you're saying just in that end piece and that other end piece, he's going to be able to, from somewhere else, read and take everything off of your phone, your codes, your photos, your passwords.
$20,000 cords, but you can now buy them for as low as $200 online. Wow. Ryan Montgomery has a friend who sells these cords at a discounted price, but when the NSA was using them, they were buying them for $20,000. Now, that's also government based at its finest. Yep. It's a cord that you can get for $200, and the government paid, what is that, 10 times the amount?
Yeah,
yep, sure is.
But Robin, all you have to do, bro, you go to any coffee shop, there's always going to be a person like, hey, anybody you need a charge? Take my charger. I have a bunch of them. Take them. Wow, bro, that's scary as hell.
And you know how many relationships that's going to end too? Divorces, relationships, people looking at their history. You know, your wife jumps on, like, oh, what were you looking at here? Who's the number of this?
Every porn enthusiast in the audience is sweating bullets right now.
And on the couch. It's funny. I did not know this for the longest time, but I had a buddy that he started creating. By the way, a shout out to him, Freedom Fire 1776 on TikTok. He makes a lot of cool viral videos. And I was like, how do I grow my social media presence? Because that's what we're doing here. We're in the social media content game. And he was like, well, here's something that you should do. You should hide all of your likes. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, on Twitter, I can go and I can look at all of the things that you have liked. I had no idea that the feature existed. No idea,
they just got rid of it, actually.
It was terrifying because I have liked some questionable things. And so I had to go through, and luckily when you actually purchase the premium subscription, Elon knows. He actually, part of the paid subscription is it hides your favorite.
Well, that's free now for the free version as well.
They should have never had that. That was, why would you do that? That's an injustice to people's perverted likes. You should not be doing that. But at what cost do we trade the ease of? I do it with my car, right? I drive a Tesla. I have a computer in there at all times. I know it's recording me.
Yeah.
I say again questionably things in traffic. I am not the cleanest of guys. So I start to wonder how soon will it be before all of this information that I have traded and allowed other people to get on me by simply going, oh, terms and conditions. Sure, TikTok, you could, I don't even care. I just want to get on there and make videos. How many times have I done that? And now Windows is going, hey, we're going to do it for you. Hey, don't worry about recording yourself. We'll record you for you. We're so nice. We're going to roll this out for you, and this will never get hacked. You'll never be at risk. Meanwhile, every single person's social security cards or numbers got hacked at like 2 weeks.
All of them.
Or Rob,
like 300 million, right? It was a ton.
Rob, you're asking how long is it going to be until... But that's not the question. The question, how long has it been since they did it? We're decades over that line. They've been doing this since the first time people had smartphones, since they passed the Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act.
To check everything we were doing.
I love how they use the word the Patriot Act. Like it makes you sound so like
only a terrorist
valiant.
has something to hide on their phone.
But
only terrorists.
Like you're a piece
that's
of shit if
part
you're
of-
against it.
But that was part of the propaganda campaign of 9/11.
Yep.
But it was. I said I would find a way to mention every time we do a podcast 9/11 needs to
Guys,
because I will not forget. But do you remember at one point we had to call it Freedom Fries and Freedom Toast? We were not, because we hated the French so much that they weren't backing us on our invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq. It turned out to be kind of wrong in the first place.
As if France had anything to do with it.
We're like, oh, we hate you, France. Now we're calling it Freedom Toast and Freedom Bread Pizza. I loved French bread pizza. You try and order that quickly. I'd like Freedom Bread Pizza, everybody.
And by the way, and I'm going to go to you, Umberto. We gave up not only those rights, the government forever, bro. If you think about it, in any society, they want to know what we're doing, what we're thinking, where we're going. Facebook was one of the, like, dude, I heard from a friend that the CIA has a special word for Zuckerberg because of what he created.
Zuckerberg.
Because think about it, Rob, and especially with the article the story that you have, everybody's always concerned. Are they looking? I have a black duct tape on my thing because I saw Zuckerberg had one on his. That guy has it. Like the same with him having a bunker in Hawaii. I want to track. Listen. I'm going to go back to my thing. If anybody out there can track Mark Zuckerberg's flight pass on his private jet, the moment that guy flies to Hawaii, be on high alert because he has his bunker, $200 million bunker. If he's going there, there should be a reason. But you
don't build a bunker if you're not preparing for something.
Yeah,
Nobody's
something
like,
big.
I got a lot of money. What am I going to buy? Jet skis or a bunker?
Yeah. By the way, I know a guy that has a bunker here that can last him a year. He's no joke. Rob, for 1 year, okay? Wow. If you're spending $200 million in Hawaii, you're going to be in there for a long time.
You know a guy who has a bunker in Florida?
Like, it's not above. It's like kind of like outdoors.
I was going to say.
No, it's not on the ground.
It's like
but it's secure. No, it's above ground because you can't go on the ground.
You can if you go to the middle where there's not swampland. I've
not swampland. Yeah.
There are levels of elevation in Florida that are high enough that you could put a bunker, but it's certainly not in Miami where the streets flood if it rains. That's not going to be a place you can do it.
But going to my point is, with Zuckerberg, he made it so we're giving up, like, because we're always secretive about our stuff. Everybody's always like, hide your passcode, put this. I keep changing it every 6 months. But Zuckerberg made it cool. Facebook, like you said with the likes, if you go on my sister's Facebook, shout out to my sister, she's on, bro, you know what she likes, what she eats, what music she listens to, who she hangs out with, where she is every single day. They track all of that, bro. It's not hard. If they want to find you, they're gonna find you. And if they want to know how to pitch commercials to your ass,
do it.
they know how to do it. What were you gonna say, Rob?
Well, they also, part of this political hostility environment that we're in today, I really believe this. Facebook really is the place where like you said, everybody started sharing everything. Yeah. It's also the first place where I started learning who my friends were in life that were Republicans and who my friends in life were Democrats. Yeah. And working in comedy, it was very interesting to see some of these people that are working in a very liberal industry have conservative values and thoughts and actual postings. And I saw a lot of these guys lose work for it, but it was because of Facebook that I feel like we have this almost contentious conversations about who you support politically online because people started doing it on Facebook. Hey, I remember it being Obama was really the beginning of it. Because I joined Facebook in 2004 when you had to actually be a college student and have like a .edu email. That's how old I am. I was on when it was called the Facebook. So I'm like an OG guy that's been sharing my information forever. Here's my kids. Here's my wife. Here's us away from our home on vacation.
That's
just
so
loot
funny.
our home. Like I'm an idiot that did that.
Yeah, we were all, because it was funny.
Boomer.
You said, what's the word you said, Rob? When it makes it really easy?
The ease of convenience,
The convenience.
over security.
Right, it's convenient. Because,
Benjamin
well,
Franklin.
the way that you sold, like you said at the beginning, automatically I went, oh, hell yeah. I wish I remembered the YouTube video and I deleted my history. It's convenient, but then with that convenience comes complete, your privacy is finito. I'm about to say what you want to say because I want to go next.
So we can move on to the next
Yeah.
story. You asked a question if they're cooked or not.
I want to know. This is going back to the astronauts.
Yeah. This is slightly uplifting. Most people in the chat. The question was, you think they're going to get back? No, they're cooked. That was the first option. Second option, yes, Elon will give them a ride back. And that one with 63% of the answers in the chat that Elon will give them a ride back. So
Elon will give them a ride back.
So people think that Elon
But guess what? Sorry, I forgot to add this, and Kelly's going to be mad at me. And we don't need to see the graphic. But apparently, Kelly, their suits aren't compatible with SpaceX. With SpaceX, what is it called? With their...
With the SpaceX craft.
Oh, yeah, the SpaceX craft. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. They're not compatible.
Why can't they just send the space suits up to them?
Because Elon, she's right. Elon's stuff is already up there. Elon's not launching to go up there. Elon's stuff is already up there. So, like, they won't even be able to fit inside because those are all big and clunky and stupid. But
Get an adapter from Best Buy.
Adapter, and then you're going to steal all their information. Then they're going to steal all their information. All right, we're moving on. Next story. Next story. Kelly, look at this. Look at
that graphic.
So fluoride, there's fluoride in water, Connor, that's making kids, just people dumb. But go over your story so we can see the graphic.
So as I'm sure most people are
Go ahead. I'm sorry. This is funny.
Rob, what part are you laughing at, by the way?
I just how sad the tooth is that it finally has found the truth about fluoride.
Tooth.
Yes.
Nice.
But as I'm sure most people are aware, since the mid 40s, they've been pumping fluoride into our drinking water with the effort to increase dental health in the United States. They've called it the most effective public health campaign ever rolled out. They said it skyrocketed our tooth strength, reduced cavities, and they've been saying, this is the best thing that anyone has ever done for public health.
My mom says it's to calcify your pineal gland, but go ahead.
All right, by the way, that sounds way
Tony.
more
Now she gets the last
unbelievable.
laugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
does she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Your mom
My
might
mom
be-
was right about something.
But put another quarter in the Rob's mom was right jar because
Hot streak.
on Wednesday, the Department of Health and Human Services National Toxicology Program concluded that consumption of more than 1.5 milligrams of fluoride per liter can lead to lower IQs in children.
Dude.
This was a study where they reviewed epidemiology reports from, let's see, I have a list here. Canada, China, India, Iran, Pakistan, and Mexico. Because these are all places that abide by the WHO's limit of 1.5 milligrams per liter. The U.S. is 0.7 milligrams per liter. That's the recommendation we're on. A very small percentage of the population has 1.5.
Wait, so that's the limit or the minimal that they could do?
The limit, like the upper limit of where they say, anything beyond this, it's not healthy anymore, and there's health complications. But there have not been any studies done into the long-term effects of what mass fluoride consumption can have. To quote from the report, since 1945, the use of fluoride has been a successful public health initiative for reducing dental cavities and improving general oral health of adults and children. There is a concern, however, that some pregnant women and children may be getting more fluoride than they need because they now get fluoride from many sources, including treated public water, water-added foods and beverages, teas, toothpaste, floss, and mouthwash, and the combined total intake of fluoride may exceed safe amounts. So the report does not quantify how many IQ points it's possible, but it's between 2 and 5 in the children they surveyed.
That's still not like. But I know a guy in Los Angeles. Like we like this is when I was drinking and acting like a maniac. Bro, I'd go over. It'd be like let's say 10 o'clock. We want to go eat something. Probably keep drinking because that's how we were. He would be drinking glasses out of the sink in California. It's all foamy, and I'm like, and by the way, I'm not even trying to be funny. He would down like 3-4 of them like this. He's losing his mind, and I'm not even being like he's getting dumber, and I think that's one of the main reasons of it. I'm dead serious.
The population as a whole, I mean, people are weirdly dumber now these days.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
and Brandon, and if you're
jarring.
drinking out of your sink, if you're making tea from over there, if you're using just water and, dude, brushing your teeth, that's why I use Tom's. I use mouthwash that has no fluoride. It's like you can avoid it, but if it's in the water, that means the government actively drops fluoride inside in every state's reservoir
water supply.
Jeez.
And this is where it kind of makes sense of fluoride strengthens your teeth when you have access to it.
Yeah.
Makes sense for it to be in toothpaste. The idea of putting it in water so that every person gets it, it kind of makes sense in theory, I guess, of like, okay, we want the public to have healthier teeth, cavities, and all these things are a huge problem. We're just going to put it in the water. But when you begin pumping chemicals into the water to address health, regardless of whether people want it or not, you cross into some gray territory. I'd like to go back to this article from the Associated Press.
AP?
From 2022. Town employee lowered fluoride in water for years. This was published October 8th, 2022. Richmond, Vermont. There was a water employee who was in charge of putting fluoride into the water.
Okay.
And for 4 years, it was discovered he had been doing it less than.
So he's a true American.
Yes.
Freaking
Like
gangster.
the smartest town in
listen-
America.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't drinking the water.
Listen to how the Associated Press covered this. Residents of a small community in Vermont were blindsided last month by news that one of their officials in the water department quietly lowered fluoride levels nearly 4 years ago, giving rise to worries about their children's dental health and transparent government, and highlighting the enduring misinformation about water fluoridation.
Like, what?
They pitched it back then as this guy's a conspiracy theorist and he's harming public dental health, and they quote a local mother whose children had cavities where she's saying, he took away our ability to have informed consent.
Oh my God! Yeah, so did the government in
so did they-
1945. Did we have a vote on whether or not we want fluoride in the water?
Did anybody
Oh,
ask?
King.
Yeah. Preach, King. No, he's
Like,
right.
like, we need water to exist, and they put fluoride in water without telling us. Like, who knew about
Yeah,
that? I
it's
bet
like-
people didn't know for decades.
Yeah, it's like brush your damn teeth, bro. Why you? I don't need to drink it.
No, but like they
both
could
of
put it in a
the
thing like mouthwash.
No, we didn't vote. Yeah, no, yeah, but we didn't vote on it. He's right. But here's my question: did they find out in those 4 years? Did the GPA of the children go
Yeah.
up? Did they get smarter?
There were no studies done
Off
on
the
it.
charts
Oh,
SAT
man.
scores.
Think about it. The active effort to make sure that nobody knows if there's a problem or not, because they say this is a successful health campaign. It's the way it should be. Nobody has the option to opt out of it. But now think about every product that's hit the market since 1945 that contains fluoride now. Like they said, toothpaste, beverages, dental floss, mouthwash, everything that goes into your mouth has some degree of fluoride in it now.
Yeah.
And
I just love a funny joke.
Well,
and that means that you now no longer have the option of getting out of fluoride, but you're also consuming way more of it because of all the other stuff they've put it in.
Of course.
So if it's making people dumber, which it seems like it very
Oh,
well
bro,
might be, what do we even do about it at this point?
I mean-
It's a generational problem.
Bro, here's my one thing: don't drink anything from the tap. Don't, bro.
Yeah, but that's so easy to say. But then think about, I mean, can your skin absorb fluoride? I know that's a weird thing
I have
to
a filter
ask.
on my shower.
You do?
Bro, Rob.
Do they have fluoride? Because I have a guy that's putting in a saltwater filter for my home, but I don't know if that removes fluoride. He told me it makes my water feel softer. And apparently my wife loved that idea so much that we're expending a lot of money on it. So we're going to have softer water, but I don't know if it's less fluoride water.
Yeah, well, the one that I have that you buy on Amazon, I forget, it starts with the A Aqua or whatever. Dude, it's like a 15 level filtration. When I first shower, you know, the first week you move into the place, you're just getting there. They're setting up all the, internet and everything. I showered with the regular thing. My skin felt like it was ripped, like itchy and tight. And the moment I put that in, it was fixed.
Oh, the
Wow.
water here's
So
terrible.
the water's horrible. What do you mean? When you flush the toilet here, it's yellow.
yellow, yeah.
The first 2 months, I even told Kelly I'd flush and leave, and I'd be like,
Same thing happened to
yeah,
me.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, am I?
You're
Did I
a
not?
criminal here.
Because you know
Oh,
they
what a
put,
psychopath.
They put tannins in the water, which I have no idea what that
The
means.
tannins have to mellow like a bottle of wine.
Yeah, yeah.
You just open the toilet and let it sit for a while.
Google.
So the tannins
It's
can
Florida.
mellow.
Why is the Florida toilet water yellow? And even the tap water. Remember, I found out that our filtered water system thing was. I had a cup. I filled it up with cold water to drink, and I went, wait a minute.
Wow.
What?
Yellow toilet water in Florida could be caused by hard water, tannins, or manganese.
What the hell is that?
Hard water becomes hard when it passes through limestone formations and collects calcium and magnesium minerals. These minerals can leave stains in toilets, sinks, and showers over time, and the stains can be yellow, brown, red, or orange. Ugh.
Dude, oh my
wow.
God. Go ahead.
It's over. We're starting a campaign. Make water H2O again.
But
Let's get the hats.
here's
made.
here's the other problem. It's just like the anti-seed oil stuff.
Yes.
Nobody wants to eat food cooked in seed oils. Everything you know about, the oils made from or that they used to fry food. The obesity epidemic started ticking up the same year they switched off of cooking everything in beef tallow to canola oil. but try to get off seed oils now.
Yeah, it's
try to find any food product that does not contain some sort of seed oil extract. It's
everywhere.
impossible.
It's everywhere.
You can't do it.
Yep.
You're the food you eat. If you eat meat, it's fed on things that
Of
were
course.
cooked with seed oils.
Of course.
And all this shit happened after World War II too, when this New World Order initiative took over too. Because like, why was it in 1945? Because that's when the whole like WHO and New World Order and UN thing started. Mm-hmm. So everything went to shit after that.
Everything went to Cacaville. By the way, and here's my thing: if it's coming out of a pipe, a tube, underground that you can't see, what would make you think that it's smart to drink that? Like, are you freaking crazy, bro? Everything has to be filtered. Dude, my refrigerator has a filter. My shower has a filter. Everything has a filter, bro.
Except you.
Yeah, I'm not filtered.
Unfiltered.
Damn right. And moving on to the next story. Thank you so much, Connor.
By
Brand?
the way, 5 minutes until RFK's
Oh, is it 5
announcement.
minutes?
Right.
We're going to cut to RFK's announcement live in 5 minutes. So if you're tuning in, you can join us
So
to
why
watch
don't we?
History in the
So
Making.
why don't we wait, Rob? Can we talk
Okay.
about what's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
give some predictions or
Kelly, we'll
something.
save that, babe, and we'll just. What's up? We're good, babe. All right, perfect. So they'll go live, guys. Once it happened, they'll put us out in the corner. But
Oh, they've pushed it back. Now it's 2:30 p.m. Eastern time.
2:30
wow.
p.m.
It says RFK Jr. address to the nation. But Kelly, I sent you the link. If we could just pull it up and have it just on standby. I texted it. But if we can pull it up just in case and have it ready, so that way when they do go live to it, we'll be ready.
They
to
have the
end.
link.
But we've got plenty to talk about in the interim.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, well, yeah.
So is he getting cold feet?
No, I mean,
So
like,
actually, I saw something right before we went live that was very interesting. Because this morning he filed to drop out of the Arizona presidential race. Like, he removed himself from the ballot. Apparently, campaign sources are saying they're still undecided if he's actually endorsing Trump or if he's just dropping out. Apparently, they're saying his wife, Cheryl Hines, is telling him, no, just drop out and pull out of the swing states, but don't endorse. Where his campaign advisors are telling him, no, endorse and be like fully on board with the Trump campaign. So according to rumors I was seeing, they're still very undecided about what they're supposed to do in half
You
an
know
hour.
what I liked about Trump is that Melania was never involved.
Yeah.
In the, Remember it was all about Jill Biden during the should Biden drop out or stay in following the debate. And now you're hearing that this could possibly be a rift in the campaign again with a spouse involved in the campaign and the future
I
decisions.
love that you just pointed that out.
Yep.
You remember when presidents were the president and the wife was just the wife? She was a first lady, like Betty Ford, all those, like, just go get
Yeah.
drunk, Betty.
Stay in the garden.
No, I mean, Barbara Bush, by the way, when all of a sudden you're like, Michelle is out in the public more than he is.
Well,
She's-
Hillary.
yeah,
So who did
Hillary-
it actually start with? Was Hillary the inception, or were there more active? I mean, if you go back there, who was the
Maybe even
president that
Nancy
had the
Reagan.
stroke that had
Woodrow Wilson, that
Woodrow
piece
Wilson?
of shit.
But okay. Go on, I'm sorry. Repeat that again.
I said Woodrow Wilson, that piece of shit who sold America to the Rothschilds.
sold
Worst
America
guy.
out.
Worst guy.
Yeah, he's the devil.
But okay, but
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that another day.
That was privately because she
Yeah.
was trying to run his administration at that point behind the scenes. But I don't remember. I guess it would be Hillary.
No,
I don't
Eleanor
remember.
Roosevelt was a disaster too.
But were they involved?
Yeah.
In this
Eleanor was. She had a lot of opinions, which
behind the scenes or
yeah,
publicly?
no, publicly super socialist.
And Rob, you nailed it with Jill Biden. Let me explain something to you. I know, like, bro, I feel it. And again, I'm going to go with my gut feeling. She was one of the main ones that was like, no, you're not dropping. They're not going to. No. I want to be. She's taking photos on Air Force One behind the desk. She wants that limelight because without this presidency, nobody's going to talk about Jill. Nobody will ever call her doctor. Dude, I don't care if I'm dying and they're like, I'm like, who is that? Is that Jill? You think I'm calling her doctor?
Well, if she's a doctor, she's a bad one because she can't even diagnose her own husband.
Rob,
What is it?
she's a
decline.
she's a doctor of education.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
that's
like,
that's the-
nobody's going to go like this. Oh, my
So
God.
was Dr. Seuss. Like, and he wrote 1 foot, 2 foot, yellow foot, blue foot. So
freaking
it's
funny.
that stupid PhD thing.
Amanda, what do you think?
No, I this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Carter, his wife, was very opinionated.
Reagan with the war on
Reagan
drugs.
with the war on drugs was very opinionated. Who else? Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, but Nancy wasn't,
Dolly
like-
Madison was also, and that's way
But the-
back.
Is that sexist to be like,
No, it's
I don't
not.
think the wife of the president should have input with the president? I mean, I'm not asking you.
Oh,
Kelly,
Bro,
You're looking at me.
That's a
bro.
question in Kelly's direction. Kelly, do you believe it's sexist for us to sit here and criticize women having an influence on their husbands who are the president of the United States and their policies?
No. Could they hear you, Kelly? Could,
Yeah, they can hear.
But we're also led by them.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, and
Preach.
I know, but by the way, preach, queen. Great attitude.
Go
Yes,
It's like,
queen.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like Rob, for instance, if you're a roofer and you're on a roof, no, right, Kelly? If well,
Apparently, I need to say it again because our audio was not.
All right, go
connected
ahead. Say it
properly.
again.
So, basically, what I said was that women are influences on their husband. Now, whether they use that power for good or bad is another story. But we are a supporting role. We are led by them, and so yes, we are a part of who they are.
To your point, Vinny,
I endorse
you're
that
right.
message.
You're right, Vinny, because if a roofer's like, well, listen, I don't want to get up here, but my wife has no experience, and she's going to go up, I'm going to go, no, I want my money back. It'd be like if you're like, hey, listen, I love doing stand-up, but tonight my wife's going to headline. Now,
Yeah.
she's never told a joke before,
No.
and she's horribly unfunny,
Yeah.
but enjoy the next 45 minutes of torture.
yeah, and
You
and
can't do that as a
no,
comedian.
you can't. It's like, bro, go ahead.
Well, you're being funny about it, but this is the core of the problem. We have a bunch of people that are not elected
Yes.
making decisions. I don't care if it's the wife of the president, the friend, the guy that gives it $1 billion.
I don't care if it's a lobbyist.
The crackhead son of the president
crackhead
who's
son of the
moving bags
president.
of drugs
We
everywhere.
go
Hey,
to
he's
the
in
booth.
recovery.
We elect people to make decisions because we like the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who the wife is.
Yeah, I
Or
actually
husband.
don't. And Kelly's right. Support him, be there for him. He has one of the hardest jobs in the world. But yo, I don't want you involved. I don't want you making decisions.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, guys, it's obvious. Husbands talk to their wife. Rob, when you make major decisions in your life, I'm pretty sure your wife is the first person that you talk to. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, no. Okay, when it comes to I had this conversation with somebody about a friend of mine that lost their job and the route that they went losing it. And the way that he found out he was losing his job was through his father-in-law, who was best friends with his boss. His father-in-law told his daughter, who was married to my best friend, and my best friend found out from his wife.
Wow.
That is not the way that should go down. You, as the man of the household, you protect your family and you don't instill panic. And it really bothered me that they went and subverted that route. So as a husband, as a man, as a provider, while I value my wife's input on major life decisions, I make that decision for our family.
Yes.
And then I go and consult with her before I make it final.
Yeah.
But I don't go to them with, and I never go to her with, well, I'm thinking about I may lose my job, or I'm thinking about it. Like, I am the provider. My job is to make sure that that woman feels secure at all times and that our children do. So I'll consult after a decision has already been made. And I'm pretty sure every guy that's in a serious relationship, the two of you who are also married, probably handle things in the similar manner.
Well, to take it a level deeper, Rob, think about it this way. The first ladies, Humberto just listed a whole lot of them. Nancy Reagan, Laura Bush, like all these first ladies, they've all been very public and very involved, but it's all social programs.
Thank you.
Even Michelle Obama was very politically active, but it was like her big thing was like the school lunch
kids
campaign.
eating healthier.
Like they've always, and that's been the role. It's a social thing of the first lady gets her
Have some
her
parties
issue,
in the White
War
and
on
she stands
drugs,
up and
drinking,
they push for one thing.
Yeah, how'd that
In-
war on
in,
drugs?
in the same
We'll
same
talk
way,
about that later.
Yeah, drugs.
my
one.
wife, who is my best friend and my partner in everything we do, but I lead the household. But the thing I let her plan unquestionably, social activities. Where-
Oh, 100%.
she plans out our calendar,
Yeah.
and then tells me day to day, like, I'll be up, I'll be making breakfast, I'm getting ready for work, and she's like, oh, by the way, our friends are coming over for dinner. It's like, when'd you plan that? A month ago. Okay, great.
No, yeah, you already know.
And every time I have to muster up the courage to ask her for the 20th time what we're doing this coming Thursday
Yeah.
because she told me and I've forgotten
Yeah,
because that's not my thing to worry about.
But I've never seen her do. Come here to work with you.
Exactly.
Like, you should write that. No, change that, Connor. Don't talk about the unusuals. It's like, listen, stay in your lane. Do your role. I'll be damned, bro. If I was a president, you think my wife, I think it's like something cute for ourselves. She'd be sitting behind the desk, but you're not taking photos and putting it out there.
You can sit in the chair for a photo op, and then you got to
Hey,
get
Yeah,
back.
but
Wait for your book deal, lady.
yeah, what are you talking? Yeah, and by the way, and especially if I was in Joe Biden's shape, like I'd be like, yo, there's enough rumors that I'm completely gone. I don't even know who you are half the time. Doctor, apparently you're a doctor, Jill. Don't you dare sit in there. And then, bro, her sitting there, do you know what that means? She's the one telling him what to do. And that's not how it works.
And think about one of the biggest responsibilities for a first lady every year. White House Christmas decorations.
That's it.
Easter egg roll.
Oh, by the way, Melania,
That's
#1,
perfect,
best,
classy.
perfect, best Christmas decoration.
barely speaks.
Yep.
She's chilling at the house.
There's a strong case to be
Beautiful.
made.
Perfect woman.
She does not actually care whether Donald Trump wins this election. For the
chilling.
amount of involvement she has, like, when was the last time you even saw them do stuff.
No, I
together.
love her, bro.
She's just kind of there.
She knows exactly what she's supposed to. By the way,
actually
elegant,
met her, right?
beautiful. Did we meet her? I don't think so.
Growing up as a child, I grew up in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and Trump had his name on every casino in Atlantic City. And at one point, when he was dating Melania, prior to them getting married, at the Trump Marina, and I'm sure you could find this online somewhere, there was a banner that, Vinny, I'm not kidding, that building must have been 40 stories tall.
Yeah.
It was a banner that was 40 stories tall of Melania.
Oh, my God.
It was, and as an impressionable 13-year-old boy, you're like, whoa, look at that. So every time, my dad would have it, he worked off the island that I lived on, and we'd have to go by that when he'd go to work. My dad's like, why do you always want to go to work? And why do you always want to go and drive with me? I'm like, Melania.
Well, that's so
She was
funny.
and she, to this day, she is still very, very attractive.
No, she's
Look,
gorgeous.
Jill Biden,
Busted.
the demon and evil. Okay, maybe. I find her attractive in a way.
Really?
I do. There's
Have
a
you
weird,
seen
like,
her up
older,
close with lighting?
hot lady.
She's
look.
got the kind of vibe that says, "Hey, I used to be a babysitter that you left your wife for."
No.
Yeah, okay, yes,
No.
but I also got kind of turned on by Laura Bush.
You know
so
what?
maybe
No.
it's like
Well,
a
really?
weird, yeah.
Wow.
What the hell's wrong
Learning
with
a lot.
Not Barbara Bush.
That's like guilt.
There's a huge difference
No,
between Barbara.
now Barbara with her white hair. Now that was hot. to me.
So you're into the GILF
Yeah,
category.
Rob's just up here chubbing it up to the list of first ladies
yeah.
of
Well, that's
history.
what I'm thinking about. I'm like, which ones are attractive? I'm not a big fan of Michelle.
What are your thoughts on Martha Washington?
Fake wooden teeth? No, that was her husband, right?
Rob is like, you know what I thought it was really
You know
hot?
what?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
You know what? Abraham Lincoln could have used fluoride. His teeth were.
Uh-huh.
that was
now made
also
out of wood.
George.
But hey, Kelly, what do you think? Should we have one? Should we go to? We have to what? We have till 2:30. Yeah, let's do Okay, yeah. Let us know. Do they have a time on it? Because if not, we could do Brandon's story and then. Is somebody monitoring it to let us
I
know?
am. I'm
okay, then
watching
you know what?
at
And then
all
Kelly, you know what? We'll go to Brandon's story right now.
Microsoft is
I
watching.
think they're really still hashing it out right now. You think that's what?
No, oh boy, guess you know what it is?
Oh, 100%.
His wife, who, by the way, his wife, I don't know anything about her. I know she was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, but she's a Los Angeles actress. Let's be honest, I'm pretty sure she's a Democrat, and she's one of the liberals that's like, don't you dare. People are going to talk bad about us. Don't sell out. I'm just saying that might be the case because at the end of the day, she's still an actress. She works, by the way, Larry David despises Trump. Obviously, he despises him. He doesn't like Trump. He even said something messed about it. But you know what?
he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't like him. All right, but you guys, you know what? Let's get into this story. Brandon, since we have about 20 minutes, and you guys, they'll let us know, Rob will let us know when we're going to go live with RFK. Brandon, drugs and the truth about them, please let us know.
So I briefed you guys on this a little bit before, so like how drugs actually work and how the sale of drugs actually works. But Rob is the only one that has the innocence of not knowing anything about the drug world, to my understanding. So
Yeah.
so Rob,
That's right.
what's your understanding of the drug world, Rob? How does the illegal drug trade work, to your understanding, just off
To
optics?
be honest, my only knowledge when it comes to actual any type of drugs would be any that involve THC.
But like, where do the big ones come from, though? Do you think, like, just based off the movies we see, what we hear in the media?
Well, Mexico is where they always tell you the drug smuggling is coming through, and you
Yep.
see the tunnels that they're using, or at the time used in the 90s to smuggle cannabis into the country. But now it looks like they use those same tunnels or new tunnels for fentanyl.
Yeah, so that's correct. But what if I told you that in reality, the cartels and the gangs and the mafias, those are all just the front men, the pawns for the richest people in the world who have been the biggest drug dealers for the last 400 years? Would that,
By the way, you don't think
surprise
think he'd believe it? No, of course he'd
don't wanna
believe it.
answer
I believe it.
Why?
So Brandon, like, so the cartels and everybody, the mafias, whoever's into not mafias, apparently. Well, I mean, they probably dabbled in it, but all the cartels, the higher ups are doing it. So how are they doing it to get the money in their pockets and not get arrested? Is basically the question.
Yeah, so there's a lot here. I got all this information from a former MI6 officer named John Coleman, who wrote a whole book on this, The Committee of 300. Like I said, I'm talking about that in my Secret Society book group. But so the way that they do it is there's this banking system set up called the chip system. It's the clearinghouse for these type of payments, and the largest banks in the world, a lot of them like Credit Suisse, American Express, they all have a program that can clean drug money and launder it. And it turns out that the DEA is kind of just like a facade. They only catch like the little, drug dealers that are not really part of this big establishment program. But so, like, to put this into context, the British East India Company, Actually, we could play a clip right here from this documentary that
And
hit,
what is
hit on this a little
This is
bit.
the documentary.
Documentary.
And what do we
Pirates
about
of the
to-
Caribbean.
This is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, and it references what's going on.
All right, let's see this.
The East India Trading Company has need of your services. We wish for you to act as our agent in a business transaction with our mutual friend, Captain Sparrow.
So the reason I show this is because
I want to watch.
thanks. So yeah, so the reason that I bring this up is because the British East India Company, they were making in the ballpark of $150 billion a year selling drugs in the 1800s.
What? Wait.
That's not adjusted for inflation.
Wait. Say the money again.
$150 billion a year
In the
1800s. Yes.
And what would it be adjusted to inflation right now? In the trillions?
Yeah.
Holy
exactly.
cow.
And that's why this guy Coleman says that the people that are actually the richest people in the world are trillionaires, because they've been like running drugs for the last 400 years. And so the British East India Company is not around anymore, but he claims that the descendants of this company are the richest people in the world that are part of this big committee of 300. So this chart shows opium imports into China from 1650 through 1880. So they were able to import opium into China. They got 10% of the entire Chinese population addicted to opium. So that's like
Holy
40 million people.
crap.
Yeah.
And what
Now-
way? Like, you don't care about their health, you don't care about shit, and they're addicted. We talked about this earlier, bro. Have you ever been around the drug dealer?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever hung out about Rob, like a real cocaine, or like, I'm not talking about weed.
No, because I think those are different levels than I ever dealt with.
Yeah, but I'm
like I
thinking-
was like with a guy named Doodoo, and like he had a snake, and then he'd tell me about his like graphic novel collection, which is just comic books, turns out. But
By the
that's
way-
like the guy who I'd go to.
By the way, I want to clip that, and somebody better make a photo AI of who this guy Doodoo would look like.
Oh no, there's mugshots of Doodoo.
Oh,
so we
really?
could just go to
I'm imagining
Pinellas
Delhi.
County Sheriff's Office and find him.
When I went to school, I didn't have a car. My boy Tito will pick
Tito.
me up.
Tito and Doodoo.
I'm sorry. I didn't know he was a drug dealer
Yeah.
until one time we were going back home because we live close to each other, and he makes a drop. He opens up the glove box, 2 bricks of cocaine, a gun, and I just sat there and shut the fuck up. That's what you do. That's
Yeah,
what
you don't talk.
Yeah, you don't talk.
Yeah, but-
we never talked about
Ever.
it.
Yeah,
I
but-
kept on getting rights. We never talked about it.
So okay, so Rob,
Nice
the point,
guy, though.
The point, Connor, and everybody know, like an actual like a drug dealer actively, like, he sells. He has bags on him. He has like 8 balls. He has any.
My dad was a cop, and I went to a private Christian school.
Okay, so
what do you
that's-
think?
yeah. So your dad was around. But the
People used
point-
to get kicked out of my school for having a joint.
So, Brady, the point I'm trying to make is I hung out. I was around these type of people, and I'm telling you right now, the level of just transactions, people, girls, it was nonstop. He had to tell people, like I heard him on the phone, like, stop showing up to my house at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, it was LA. It was just so. Imagine if they get you hooked on that level, bro, on countries and all that stuff. It's freaking astronomical.
Think about how desirable that is from the standpoint of somebody who doesn't care about, like morals or ethics in terms of it being a business. So, typically in a business, you have to have the best product. You have to give great service. You have to sell the idea of your item. You have to pitch people on it. But, all that goes out the window in drugs. In drugs, it's the perfect product. You grow it out of the ground. People get addicted to it. It has incredibly high margins. And so, like you said, you don't have to do any work to try to get people to buy stuff from you. They're fervently coming to you.
Yeah,
to
Brady,
get
you're
it.
not promoting it. There's no commercials. There's no ad space.
Yeah.
You're just, hey, it's good. It's if like you make me think of Breaking Bad. If it's good, if it's blue, what the hell was it called?
Blue meth.
Blue meth. It's you know what I mean. They're never gonna stop.
And think about the attitudes of drug consumers that would have been going on back in like the 1800s. There were no drug enforcement agencies. There were no international restrictions on drugs. Like the reason they were so successful at selling opium is because it was just a recreational substance. You used to relax with like a pour a glass of brandy and light up the opium pipe.
But you know what? There's deeper political repercussions to this. People argue because China doesn't plan like the West. They plan in like 1,000 years, 100 years.
Of course.
Revenge.
And they're putting revenge. Like they say the opioid crisis here, that I allegedly most of the precursors and some of the fentanyl is made in China, and they're using the Mexican cartels to push it here as revenge of what the Western world did to them.
Yeah.
And think about where so many of those drugs are coming from. China has the market cornered on synthetic drugs. There used to be things like bath salts and flocka and stuff like that. A lot of that was chemical runoff coming from China that was then passed to Mexico for the cartels to distribute across the border. Now it's fentanyl, same thing, where a lot of the fentanyl offshoots are coming from China. But the OG drugs, opium, heroin, stuff like that, that's Afghanistan. And think about what's gone on in Afghanistan.
Speaking of Afghanistan, look at this next chart. So it's not that one, the one that shows the two... The one that shows Afghan. Yeah, there we go. So there's the golden crescent and the golden triangle. Oh yeah, so there's the golden crescent and the and the golden.
Brandon's like this.
What? I do it a lot. I do it a lot.
Like walking away. So there's the golden crescent and the golden triangle. These are the two primary places in the world where drugs like opium and heroin come from. Wow. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that the golden triangle is where we spent 20 years in Vietnam, and then the golden crescent is where the British Empire spent a bunch of years trying to conquer Afghanistan. That the Russia tried to conquer Afghanistan. The U.S. spent 20 years in Afghanistan. I wonder why. Was it because 90% of the heroin in the world comes from Afghanistan? Maybe.
Wow, is that weird?
What's interesting about that is that, okay, let's look at both of those wars, right? According to Ian Carroll, who was on with us on Tuesday or Wednesday, we discussed the George H.W. Bush's ties to opium, to heroin, a money laundering scheme, and them selling heroin to soldiers in Vietnam.
And billions of dollars.
And then you fast forward 30 years or 20 years to the invasion of Afghanistan, and who is president of Afghanistan while we invade? His son, George W. Bush. Wow. So both sons... involvement, at least questionable involvement, in the heroin trades in two of the prime, what did you call them? The major...
Like the place where 90% of heroin comes from.
Yeah, it's
and what else were we doing there? What's the justification for being there? Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, guys in caves. Like, come on, bro.
But it wasn't even it. Where did they end up finding Osama bin Laden? He was in the
boat.
No, he was. Well, that's where they threw him off of, if you believe that. Yeah. But they found him in Islamabad. That's where I remember Obama's house, Islamabad. So that's what I remember. But it wasn't even Afghanistan. I believe it was. Let me find where he was.
Yeah, while you're looking for it, and just really quick, I want to tell the audience,
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Islamabad. Thank you guys. Hey, whoever's here, thank you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, just really fast. And we have 2,000 live, I think, right now, Kel.
Hell
you
yeah.
guys, hey, like and subscribe if you can right now, right there. Hit the subscription button. I appreciate it.
2,000 live, and we're running a poll to see what's going to happen with RFK.
Okay.
These are the options. He will endorse Trump.
Okay.
That is at 76%. He will endorse Kamala. That's at 2%.
I'm part of the 2%.
He won't endorse either. That's 20%. And he won't show up.
Oh,
That's 2%.
Let me hit.
Wow, like his wife was. Oh,
That's the chat. I love you, chat.
Let me hit you with something else that's crazy. So I was surprised to come across this fact because I looked pretty deeply into this topic of why the Shah of Iran was overthrown by MI6 and Jimmy Carter. So according to this guy, John Coleman, he says, Jimmy Carter toppled the Shah of Iran because of drugs. The Shah had nearly ended the lucrative opium trade run by the British, which they wouldn't tolerate. The U.S., acting as its special relationship with Britain, did the job. Despite the U.S. embassy takeover in Tehran, arms sales continued to Iran and under Khomeini. So when the Shah was there, 1 million people were addicted to opium. When Khomeini was overthrew him, 2 million people became addicted to it. So the Shah was trying to shut down the opium trade that was going through Iran. Wow. And then the British government and the U.S. government colluded to overthrow him.
dude.
So they're willing to do that shit, like overthrow an entire country, destabilize the Middle East just to keep their drug trade going.
I mean, Brandon, dude, you're talking about trillions. I don't think people grasp it, bro. Like,
right.
You throw the word billion nowadays, isn't it weird? It used to be $1 million. You'd be like, wow, that guy's a millionaire. That doesn't mean shit anymore.
No.
Billionaire now is even like kind of, it's Brandon, Rob, it's trillionaires. Like Saudi families, those guys are
Rothschilds. Rothschilds are worth $25 trillion.
That doesn't even make sense, bro.
Yeah, that's the U.S. GDP.
Do you remember when Austin Powers, he's like $1 million? Yeah. And I was like, that is a lot of money, but I was also 11 when that movie
and
came
broke.
out. Yeah.
And broke.
At 11.
It's changed.
So, and like to put this in context, so like this chart right here, I think this is a bullshit number. It says one crime could account for 1.5% of the world's GDP. How do you make that number if you don't catch most of the crime?
That's a very good point.
So like, they're saying 320 billion right there for drug trafficking. I would imagine that that's 1% of the number if they're saying that a small small number of drug trades are actually caught by the DEA because they're not trying to do it. And then it's confirmed that if you look at what Operation Gladio was, the CIA was selling heroin through the mafia to black neighborhoods in America to fund the war against socialism in Italy, and they're laundering the money through the Vatican Bank. So
What the hell?
you know, like this,
it's
like the
crazy.
government's been deeply involved in drug trafficking for a long time, at least in some degree, one way or the other. Like not directly involved, but with layers of crime groups in between.
And look at what they do with oil. Like oil is the legitimate product that they all come out and say.
That's
that
the legit. Yeah, that's one.
and,
Yeah.
and it's so many of the key power players that are involved in oil are also involved in drugs. They have all this infrastructure set up to get oil around the world. They use it for drugs as well. And the fact that Afghanistan with its poppy fields has always been a core part of this. There's a reason that Afghanistan for a long time was called the grave of empires, where these giant empires would extend their borders and then they'd go into Afghanistan. They'd get mired down there for decades, and then as a symbol of their collapse, they'd pull out of Afghanistan. Sort of makes you think what happened when we pulled out of there in a hurry 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But people want to control that because it's probably more valuable than the oil industry.
Of course. The poppy fields? Are you
Like
crazy?
the drug trade probably generates infinitely more money than the oil does.
You could grow it. Oil is finite. Drugs aren't finite.
Exactly.
And by the way, real quick, guys, if you want to know more about this, I'm doing a deep breakdown in my secret society Telegram group, the Forbidden Book Society. We'll put it in the link below. It's growing like crazy.
Nice.
You're in the chat, bro.
You're in the chat, bro.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting the
Chat,
yeah. So throw it in there.
Yeah,
Do you have the
put it in
link?
there.
Oh, my man.
Humberto, what's the craziest drug you've ever done?
The crazy drug. Okay, I did hippie flipping. I don't know if
What
you
the
heard
hell?
about this.
Is that like cow tipping?
No, you drop like you drop.
You just grab an old guy that has like a mesh and a hemp hat. You just throw him over.
I didn't think.
Wow.
Wait, what you said before the show? Can I tell drug stories here?
No, well,
I mean, this was a past life. We're all in different points of
Yeah.
our life
Yeah.
today
I've lived
than
a-
we were then.
I've lived a perfect existence, so I can't
right.
contribute.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
I don't do that garbage. I get the best high from the most high.
No, I have a political future. I would never have done anything wrong.
Well, anyhow, college was bored. Went to go see my friends and whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to this electronic party." They gave me, like, you know, a little tab of acid, you know,
I've never
and
done
and
acid.
an M.
Came from
and
the
then
CIA,
I went
by
to
the
the
way.
party, and I felt like I was melting to it.
Oh no.
It was the best thing ever, but you can't do it twice. It's just terrible.
No, I'm not like I've done some crazy stuff. I mean, dude, I'm horrible. Even the edible gummies, Rob. Have you ever?
No.
I took two, like for the first time. 'Cause I smoked. I'm a lightweight, a little high. I'm funny. It's crazy, munchy. Okay, if you've never done it, somebody gave me, and you know how it's always the people that find somebody that's never done them. It's always like, no, just take a half, but it's like 10 times it's horrible. So I eat this thing, and if you like, you taste a little bit of the weed, but then you're like, I could just I'll finish it. And I remember the guy, Rob, going like this. You shouldn't have done that. I swear to you, and I remember this. I'm sitting on a couch, guys, and everything's happening. The party's going on, and I just saw myself like looking around, and I'm not joking. I had to go into the other room, all right? He had a Bible. I put the Bible on my chest, and I'm not even joking. He closed the door so I'd be okay, no seeing crazy stuff, and I heard, and I'm like, ah! By the way, never, ever, ever did it or doing that ever again.
So remember those commercials that they showed? This is like, this is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
And they would crack the omelet in. But then remember at one point they had one where a girl like flattened down on a couch and fell down. So I worked for a company, and I didn't know what they did at first. I worked for a radio company, and they partnered with a company called Magical Butter. And what it turns out they did was they made these machines that you would put cannabis in, and you would put butter in. They would mix it up, and then you get cannabis butter that you'd make edibles. Well, the first day I was there, I had no idea. I'm like, oh, this is cool, Magical Butter. I don't know. I didn't know people did that.
wait, tell me, have you found it?
Oh, can you play this?
Oh, all right.
So watch this, and I will explain how this comes into play.
Oh my God.
Sarah.
Oh my God!
That was me. That was me
I
on the
can
couch.
relate. I can relate as a bigger guy. Edibles,
Just the
they're the
way
worst.
started.
They're the worst.
That's what they did. So I go there, and we're helping these people launch a podcast, and they wanted to film, and so they were showing us that, hey, we made all of this food. Would you like some? And this is post-production, and I'm like, oh, sure. So I started eating it, and it was an entire breakfast, but it was made with cannabis butter.
Oh,
And I was
my
like-
God.
I was like, all right, I'm going to get going. And they're like, oh, you can't drive. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, you just ate like a lot of milligrams. I don't even remember.
my
And I just remember him going, the word was a lot. And like, it really slowed down when he said that, so they had to drive me home from the production studio. And I just remember I just kept slipping down. And at one point the guy's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Just drive real slow." So yes, I've had a pass.
You're not alone. The chat is coming clean.
The chat's coming clean?
They're
Oh,
coming clean.
Don't do drugs, kids.
One quick thing though, so like not that I've done anything crazy like this, but I'm very interested in the stuff that the government tries the hardest to suppress. Like it's always been weird to me how they put marijuana as a more dangerous drug, like a Schedule 1 drug, whereas they put something like mushrooms as a Schedule 3 drug, which means it's more, or vice versa. Or no, they put opiates as a Schedule 3, and they put marijuana as a Schedule 1, saying that opiates have productive medical uses and marijuana has no medical use at all.
Bro,
like
and I've
bullshit.
been saying this forever. Great point, Brandon. The reason that they tried to keep weed from us, they couldn't do it forever. It makes you think. It expands your mind. You have fun. You're peaceful. You're eating. You're not trying to be violent. Why do you think alcohol is up to that? Alcohol is the biggest. Just go drink, ruin your life, drink and drive, kill yourself, ruin your insides, get on medication. It's so ridiculous. They hide them, especially the medicinal purpose. Like, dude, CBD oil. I take it to sleep. I take it for this. I rub it on my shoulder. It works. No wonder why they
hate that.
Of course
want
they
you to
do.
be taking sleep medication and painkillers and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I'm not, because we're talking about the drug story. Are you finished, Brandon? Because I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a wealth of stuff that we could go into with this, but I know we're running tight. So
yeah, because he should be up in about 5 minutes, and I'll wait.
News are rolling in. Ryan Fournier breaking Robert F. Kennedy state in Pennsylvania court filing that he will be endorsing Donald Trump.
all right, so
He said it.
Yeah, this is not. He hasn't said it.
But he's filing.
Yeah, he's filing. Ryan Fournier. He's a good source. 1.1 million
Gotcha.
followers. He was involved with
question
the
for
Trump
you
campaign.
guys.
Yeah.
There's been thoughts that he could be either Attorney General or CIA Director, or which one would you rather, CMB, or which one do you think he would?
Brandon,
is gonna be?
I think RFK and the CIA would be beautiful.
100%.
As a great idea.
100.
What has more power?
Attorney General.
Then I'd rather Attorney General. As nice as it would be, I'd rather him dismantle the CIA than to be the head of the CIA.
If it were my preference, I'd have him as health secretary, because the vaccine, the health, the microplastics, like that's kind of his most solid bipartisan standpoint. Sure, of course, it'd be great to see him come in and gut the CIA for taking out his uncle and his dad.
Well, that's what I was gonna.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily his expertise. That's not what he's good at. That's just the revenge motivation, and that's great. But for what I think he could do the best as health secretary,
How about
like
this?
get
How about-
microplastics out of the food.
Well, how about Trump put him in charge of the CIA for a day, and he goes and gets all the documents that were involving his father's assassination, release them so we can see exactly what it is. Because if he does that, Rob, they could dismantle. By the way, really honest question: If RFK comes in and we find, just not even RFK, if we find out the CIA and the FBI were involved in a sitting president's assassination, what should happen to those two organizations?
No, they should be dismantled.
Dismantled on the spot.
Well,
Yes.
and if anybody's still alive that had any
They're
involvement,
probably not,
they
Rob.
could be
The problem-
prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
All right, let's
100%.
ask the chat. So it's Attorney General. What's their
Attorney General,
Okay.
or CIA, or health.
I think leave it at those
How do you
two,
call
'cause
that guy?
What's the health? The Department of
Well,
Health?
the health secretary.
Health Secretary.
All right, let's-
Oh, and hold on, and let's guess. Who do you guys think that they would want? Who do you guys think the audience would want?
I think they're into CIA.
I would go CIA.
but go ahead.
Is Attorney General watch over all of them, or CIA is on its own?
Their Attorney General is the second most powerful position in the country.
Okay, then I'm gonna say that they're gonna go Attorney General, because Attorney
Right.
General could say document.
I think it's
Okay.
a very underrated. It's a very underrated position, Attorney General. But the thing with the CIA, though, even if you're the director, it's like a labyrinth to try to parse through it. Like I remember even George Bush saying he didn't know what the hell was going on half the time when he was CIA director.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much impact you could have, and I don't even know if you could dismantle the CIA. I think you could dismantle the CIA more easily as the Attorney General than being the CIA director potentially.
I think so. I think so too. But I think with our chat, they're gonna go Attorney General.
Votes are pouring in. It's going up and down.
Okay, I love
Now,
it.
now it's 245.
Huh?
No, it just got moved to
Yeah,
245.
it's
Are you
moved to
for real?
245.
Jeez.
Yo, RFK,
I don't know
man.
That's weird.
Not a good look.
I don't know that we're gonna get to show it.
That means they're indecisive about this. That's crazy.
Well, then you know what? Then since we're still waiting another 15 minutes, we might as well get into this freaking.
Should we fill in?
Yeah.
For the last story.
Yeah, with
Yo, let's go to Alberto.
It is what it is.
Alberto.
Go, hold on, but can we speculate for a second before we move on?
Yeah.
Why does this keep getting delayed? Because originally it was 2 p.m. Eastern time, and this is a major announcement. The campaign, is this what's wrong with the Kennedy campaign? Is it that poorly run that you're making the biggest announcement of the campaign to date, and you're now going to be 45 minutes late? Does anybody else find that very, very odd that they're not making this, or at least even coming out and going, hey, sorry, he's in traffic? Like, what is the holdup?
It should be a 5-minute announcement at the most, right? Like how long is he going to speak for? Like, what's the holdup? Does he not know the answer yet?
But you guys, and Rob, great question and great point earlier. Like, what if his wife is like, you know what? Don't do this. He's like, wait, like, dude, who knows what's happening with the argument or where the negotiation of, no, I want this job. And then maybe the Trump campaign's like, no, you're going to get this job. Dude, I'm pretty sure because this only happened yesterday was like the announcement that it was going to happen. Right?
Well, he started announcing earlier this week there would be a major announcement, and we knew. I guess we can talk about this now because it's kind of public information that he has suspended campaign events. Originally, RFK Jr. was going to be, I knew something was up. He was planning on being in South Florida for another podcast. He was going to do our podcast, and there was a campaign event. Mm-hmm. The campaign event was canceled. This was supposed to be Monday of next week. So the campaign event gets canceled, and we're like, that's weird. And then all of a sudden, both podcast appearances, including him being with us, got canceled. And we went, well, that's really suspicious. And so that was Monday of this week that all 3 of those events had gotten postponed. And then it came out on Tuesday that there were rumors that he would be endorsing Trump.
Because Tuesday when Nicole Shanahan was on that podcast saying that, you know, we're in talks, we're deciding whether we're going to drop out and endorse Trump. Like, she laid it all out there, which was very odd that she just did that.
And then Wednesday came, Friday we'll make an announcement, because then we reached out and we said, hey, if he's going to make an announcement on Friday, let's partner up together. We could work together. But because of the scheduling and prior commitments that his campaign had made, he was already obligated to be somewhere else to make this announcement. But they were like, yeah, let's live stream the announcement. We figured, hey, let's put this podcast together. How are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many people we got in the back, Kelly? 2? 2 people in the
9
back?
people.
So we're a crew of 9 people, and we're on time for this announcement, and you're telling me that RFK's campaign is not? That is super weird to me.
Super.
What do you think, Brandon?
No, I mean, I think they're potentially negotiating, like you said, or either he's not decided on who he wants to support, or they're negotiating what they want to do. Because I mean, I cannot imagine it's going to be a long announcement. But what I would wonder though, I think the interesting thing to speculate on is like, does all the people who are voting for him right now in the polls go straight to Trump if he endorses Trump, and vice versa? Like, I mean, how swayable is that 10% that is voting for him right now?
I mean, right now, because the timing of this is perfect. The DNC is done last night.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys right now, if you want to extinguish Kamala's speech, it was horrible. Yeah. Michelle Obama, anybody, Oprah, anybody, that all goes bye-bye. At the moment he opens his mouth and says he's going after Trump is going to jump up in the percentage in the polls, and that nullifies to me the last 2-3 days of the whole DNC.
And of course,
it breaks the campaign.
Yeah, the DNC swears that it's not going to have an effect. They're saying, you know, the only people who were supporting him in the first place were actually just Trump supporters. So now they'll all go back to Trump, and it won't make a difference. But that's definitely just coping on their part, because I think Kennedy did get support from a lot of Democrats who were very turned off by the direction of Biden, let alone Harris.
Remember, the entire Kennedy family took Easter photos with Biden at the White House.
I remember that.
The entire Kennedy family has come out and denounced RFK for going against the Democratic Party. This family is notoriously Democratic for their entire history. Is there any way he comes out and he announces he's for Kamala? And that's what this hang-up is.
Well,
Is there what are your percentages?
Not at a Trump rally.
Higher than 0%.
What if he did it at a Trump rally?
Oh, my God.
Okay, so when I worked in radio in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania back in 2008, we were the underdogs. And when you're the underdogs, there used to be these things called radio wars, where you would call attention to the morning show that's in town and try and get them to talk about you, sending their listeners to you because their listeners didn't know that you were in town. We had an adult film star named Mary Carey who ended up running for like governor of California. She was friends of our show. We booked her on the radio show that was our competition. So she was in the mid of the interview. She started saying, Kid Chris show, Kid Chris show. So she was trying to get people to go to our, so we sabotaged. Could you imagine? I know this is
no, but go there, Rob. I love it.
Could you imagine if RFK comes out today and he's actually a plant for the DNC and he comes out today and announces at a Trump campaign event that he's endorsing Kamala Harris? That would be the biggest news story and biggest scandal regarding this campaign or this election, and there's been a lot.
He'd also never be able to
date.
show his face in public again because the things he said about the Democratic Party, the things he said about the Biden-Harris administration, all this stuff, if he reverses course on that and says, no, I'm actually on board with Kamala now.
But you guys forget there was reports last week. He came out and denounced it, but there were reports last week.
I was going to say that. We covered it. We covered last week. There was, the talk of the town that he was having talks with the Kamala Harris administration for
both of them. Kamala and Trump.
But he now swears that never happened. So, like, this is the problem. We've questioned RFK before on a lot of this stuff. Like, some things he's changed stances on. Other things kind of prove he really just is a run-of-the-mill Democrat, but from 10 years ago.
Yeah. Still terrible.
For me, it was over the second he picked Nicole Shanahan.
That's
because like,
everything.
That's what really...
She's a lunatic.
She's nuts. And she's also deep state as it can get with, being married to Sergey Brin at one point.
Getting smashed by Elon. What?
Exactly.
Elon
Elon
smashed.
These were not good choices. But then the amount of reporting I've had to do on weird RFK stories in the last month. He left a dead bear in Central Park for some reason.
What? He admitted to that, too.
He admitted that.
Why?
To Roseanne Barr, of all people?
Yeah.
Oh, did you not hear this story? He's saying, like, he's driving through upstate New York. He sees the car in front of him run over a young bear. It wasn't a bear cub. It was like, just a small bear.
Mid-aged bear.
And then he picks it up and puts it in his trunk because he wants to harvest the pelt and eat the meat.
What?
Because, RFK is
Savage.
admitting to eating roadkill.
He's a savage.
But then he goes to events all day. There's a dead bear in his trunk. He realizes, I got to go to Manhattan to catch a flight. I'm not going to be able to put this in my freezer.
Are you for real?
Yes.
100%. Kelly,
fact
see if you
check
can
it.
pull up the article on this that I wrote a couple weeks ago.
It's a true story.
true
RFK
story.
with a bear. I'm telling you.
He said this in a video where he was talking to Roseanne Barr for some reason.
He's definitely
But he's
high.
like, then I
He's
realized I had to
probably
get on a plane. I couldn't get home to put it in my freezer. So my friends and we'd all been drinking. I wasn't drinking because I was driving, of course.
Yeah.
But he's like, they convinced me that it would be really funny to take the bear to Central Park and leave it there like it got hit by a bike and killed.
Can you show this, Kelly? Look at that. Boom.
I have,
Where can you find that article, Connor?
BT.com.
Whoa, I know the people that write
So
these stories.
if you scroll down a little bit, Kelly, I have the photo of him posing with the bear. There's the video if you want to watch it, but it's kind of long.
Keep going, Kelly.
But there's the picture of him with the bear.
He took pictures?
He took pictures before he left it.
And
All right,
this is
Connor, listen. This is a problem I have. Like, this is fun and games. It's exciting. We're here doing it live, whatever. But he's still a Democrat. You guys, probably you three guys, because I said it this morning in the meeting we had with Pat, the only two Democrats I like in the whole world. He's still a Democrat. Like a broken watch.
Who are the two?
Who's
Who are
the
the
two?
two?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say it. There's only three.
Why are we being
No, 'cause
secrecy over
one
this?
was-
No, we're playing secrecy.
Never
The audience wants to know. Wait, the two Democrats, meaning in the history of our country?
In the history of the world.
Hillary and Bill Clinton.
Hillary.
Wow, you like the Clinton.
Alexandria
we can-
Ocasio-Cortez
we
and
can
Nancy
talk- we
Pelosi.
can talk
for
after.
reasons
Are they
that
dead or
might
alive? Are they
surprise
dead or
you.
alive?
They're alive.
Are they in office now or not? I
you-
forget the meeting, to be honest with
So
you.
you didn't like JFK?
And I never liked JFK. 'Cause
Why?
A broken watch is right twice a day. He's been right in 2 issues, and that's it.
JFK?
Yeah.
Talking about the dead JFK.
Maybe I liked him a little bit.
He was anti-establishment.
Who's the alive JFK? JFK Jr.?
No, he thought.
No,
But,
RFK, JFK, the same thing. Kennedys, I don't know. I don't like them. I think this hype is uncaught full. But we're here and we're doing it live.
The thing is, though, the reason I don't think he's going to turn and be in favor of the Democrats, though, is because, like, to be embraced by the deep state, you have to be all in. And he's already made it clear that he's not all in. Like, he's never going to turn him around on the vaccine thing. He's never going to be like, okay, I was wrong about Fauci. So that stuff, they need him to turn around on that stuff if he's going to be embraced by them. And I don't think he's going to do that. So I don't think he could arrive at a place policy-wise and opinion-wise where they would embrace him again.
I genuinely think the Kamala thing is very, very low. Don't get me wrong; it would be absolutely insane, Rob, if he was just like, "Hey, everybody, I'm going Kamala." You know what Trump would say? Hey, Secret Service, get away from him. Like, Donald would run up on his ass. Those are fighting words, bro.
Well, either way, he's losing Secret Service protection as soon as he endorses Trump. I'm
pretty
confident that they're going to say you're dropping it. Well,
So Kimberly Cheadle will get it.
But look, if
RFK
he's
won't.
dropping out, then he's not a candidate anymore, which means he wouldn't qualify for it anyway.
Wow.
But you'd think a Kennedy would have access to some kind of government protection. But
Well, Fauci's not in office, and we provide him
exactly.
with
I
security
said at the time.
details.
I said at the time that when Mayorkas came out and said that RFK was getting Secret Service protection, that might just be the most effective way of having him killed, given the Secret Service recent track record.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but. There's no way that they continue to support this guy once he's in the Trump camp.
All right, with 684 votes.
684 votes on what position?
Yeah, the chat has spoken, and this is really tight, okay? CIA director, 35%. Attorney General, 26%.
Oh, wow, it's lower.
Health Secretary, 35. Oh, it changed. CIA Director and Health Secretary, they're both at 35%. And nothing. They want nothing to do with him. My chat. That is 4%.
4%.
So
So
Well,
you're-
that's not true. It also says nothing in quotes. I'm a Fed, so and I voted. I'm a Fed.
You're a fan?
Yes.
you know that 4% is his family. It's his family online.
Wait, by the way, my mom is on the chat.
Your mom's there?
Yes.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
So the AG was the lowest.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised by that because not a lot of people understand the power of being Attorney General. That could jam up the president more than almost any other position.
Yeah.
You know, look at what Bill Barr did to Trump. Like, he was investigating Trump. He wouldn't look into things he should have been
Bill
looking
Barr
into.
was, he's
Like-
such a deep state freaking. Oh,
Like that's the boss of the FBI. That's like, they decide what gets investigated, what to look into, and everything. So it's a massive amount of power for the Attorney General.
who was? This is a trivia question. Who was the Attorney General for Obama? Was it Loretta
Leon
Lynch?
Panetta?
Loretta Lynch.
Was it?
Was it?
Attorney General
Barack Obama. If it's Loretta Lynch,
No, Eric Holder.
Eric Holder.
Ugh.
Who was it for Loretta Lynch?
Was he for Clinton?
No.
No.
Loretta Lynch, former United States
Attorney General.
2015 to 2017. So part of
Barack Obama.
Oh,
and
tail
part
end.
of
Yeah,
Trump.
she's the one that was covering Hillary's. Oh, she was
Yeah.
helping Hillary's investigation. She met on the tarmac with Bill Clinton, and they had a long talk, and then
Look at what Merrick Garland has been up to
Right.
since he became Attorney General.
Oh, he's the worst.
He's sent undercover FBI agents into Catholic churches that do the Latin Mass because they might be domestic extremists. He's weaponized the DOJ against Trump, against pro-life groups, and that's just scratching the surface. There's like dozens and dozens of things that you don't even know about that he's been up to that they don't report on.
Did you guys ever hear the story of Christopher Sine,
no.
the ABC News reporter who broke the story of the Loretta Lynch Loretta Lynch Obama tarmac meeting? Died of suicide. Isn't that odd? They always
Wait
do
a minute.
that.
That,
What,
hey,
what type of suicide? I want
It
to know.
doesn't say new
Two
details on
shotguns to the
Clinton.
head.
Let me look deeper into this, but this is
He
the
drowned
Gazette.
while
This is-
paddleboarding.
This is the Denver Gazette, and it was reported in June of 2021. Reporter who broke story on Clinton Lynch tarmac meeting found dead, and of suspected suicide.
Oh
I'm
my
telling you right now,
God.
anybody that I'm like, listen, even I don't care how lucrative the job is. I don't care how many benefits. I would never, ever, ever work for Hillary Clinton.
Gunshot wound.
Period. Ever, like Brandon, $10 million right now for 1 year, I'd say absolutely not. Because the moment you do something wrong, they think that they can't trust you. You want to kill yourself. Apparently, it's like a new trend that goes on.
Well, that poor person didn't even work for them. That was just a reporter. See,
He's
like,
a
observing
reporter. I'm just
something.
saying in general, like all
Yeah.
the people, like Mark Middleton, was that his name? Who was the guy's name, Rob?
Yeah,
The Middleton
he was
guy
on-
that
he was on the hit list.
he went on top of a tree, hanged himself with a electric cord, shot himself in the chest with a shotgun, and then threw the shotgun.
And then the blood was somewhere else. It wasn't underneath him.
Yes, this is from the New York Post on February 23rd of 2023. The headline: Death of shot Clinton aide with Epstein ties found tied to tree ruled suicide despite no gun at the scene. And everyone's like, I guess it was suicide.
Yeah.
What a
Oh my
stupid
goodness.
headline. It's like an oxymoron sentence.
Well, they have Josh Shapiro
my
helping
God.
cover up these things.
man.
Where if you decide to stab yourself
I
20
think that's
times
like
in the back of the head.
That's like a shit test though for the public. Like, you know the term the shit test, like where a girl like will say things that are ridiculous, or kids will say things that are ridiculous to try to see what they could get away with. I think our media constantly does that, where they will drop these ridiculous things that they know are totally unbelievable, like whether it's that or whether it's the Russia pipeline thing. They'll say these ridiculous things just like, and they're kind of mocking us by dropping it.
Yeah.
And then they laugh at us when we are upset about it for one day and then move on. They're like, yeah, see, we could make them think anything.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So shame on us for not being outraged by it more for a longer period of
Yeah,
time.
no, dude, people, our outrage is numbed and nullified by any like Ben Affleck and J-Lo. Like, what? Why am I watching stuff like wartime stuff, drug epidemics, people rioting, fighting, all this stuff, inflation, homelessness, and everywhere I'm looking, it's J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Nobody
bullshit.
cares.
No.
And I'm talking about reputable news stations. It's up there. So I'm not talking about TMZ. They obviously talk about it. But why would Wall Street Journal? Why would New York Post? Why are you guys reporting nonsense? Because Brandon, that's what they want us to be thinking about.
Oh,
You know what-
RFK's live, guys.
All right, let's go live.
Can we go over to RFK?
Here we go. Here we go.
Bring it
Put it up.
live.
I launched my campaign for President of the United States. I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle,
No.
the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved. And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, we inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers sprang into action, hopeful that they could reverse our nation's decline. Many worked 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrificed family time, personal commitments, and sleep month after month, energized by a shared vision of a nation healed of its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers markets. They canvassed door to door. In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms, convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take off their gloves, and to sign legibly. During a heat wave in Nevada, I met a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25 pounds collecting signatures in 117-degree heat. To finance this effort, young Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up part of their Social Security checks. Our 50-state organization collected those millions of signatures and more. No presidential campaign in American political history has ever done that. And so I want to thank all of those dedicated volunteers and congratulate the campaign staff who coordinated this enormous logistical feat. Your accomplishments were regarded as impossible. You carried me up that glass mountain. You pulled off a miracle. You achieved what all the pundits said could never be done. You have my deepest gratitude, and I'm never going to forget that, not just for what you did for my campaign, but for the sacrifices you made because you love our country. You showed everyone that democracy is still possible here. It continues to survive in the press and in the idealistic human energies that still thrive beneath the canvas of neglect and of official and institutional corruption. Today, I'm here to tell you that I will not allow your efforts to go to waste. I'm here to tell you that I will leverage your tremendous accomplishments to serve the ideals that we share, the ideals of peace, of prosperity, of freedom, of health, all the ideals that motivated my campaign. I'm here today to describe the path forward that you have opened with your commitment and with your hard labors. Now, in an honest system, I believe that I would have won the election. In a system the kind that my father and my uncles thrived in, a system with open debates, with fair primaries, with regularly scheduled debates, with fair primaries, and with a truly independent media untainted by government propaganda and censorship. In a system of nonpartisan courts and election boards, everything would be different. After all, the polls consistently showed me beating each of the other candidates, both in favorability and also in head-to-head matchups. But I'm sorry to say that while democracy may still be alive at the grassroots, it has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, the Democratic Party. In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it, lacking confidence in its candidate, that its candidate could win in a fair election at the voting booth. The DNC waged continual legal warfare against both President Trump and myself. Each time that our volunteers turned in those towering boxes of signatures needed to get on the ballot, the DNC dragged us into court, state after state, attempting to erase their work and to subvert the will of the voters who had signed those petitions. It deployed DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other candidates off the ballot and to throw President Trump in jail. It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to President Biden. Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days. This is profoundly undemocratic. How are people to choose when they don't know whom they are choosing? And how can this look to the rest of the world? My father and my uncle were always conscious of America's image abroad because of our nation's role as the template for democracy, the role model for democratic processes, and the leader of the free world. Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate? In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days.
Wow.
I do interviews every day. Many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to interview me. Some days I do as many as 10. President Trump, who actually was nominated and won an election, also does interviews daily. How did the Democratic Party choose a candidate that has never done an interview or debate during the entire election cycle? We know the answers. They did it by weaponizing the government agencies. They did it by abandoning democracy. They did it by suing the opposition and by disenfranchising American voters. What most alarms me isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms me is the resort to censorship and media control and the weaponization of the federal agencies. When a US president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression, and that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot. But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs. Over the course of more than a year in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s, the DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears. Some of those same networks and colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage. Representatives of those networks are in this room right now, and I'll just take a moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility, the duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power. You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power. This week, a federal judge, Terry Doty, upheld my injunction against President Biden, calling the White House's censorship project, quote, the most egregious violation of the First Amendment in the history of the United States of America. Doty's previous 155-page decision details how just 37 hours after he took the oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution, President Biden and his White House opened up a portal and then invited the CIA, the FBI, CISA, which is a censorship agency, it's the center of the censorship industrial complex, DHS, the IRS, and other agencies to censor me and other political dissidents on social media. Even today, users who try to post my campaign videos to Facebook or YouTube get messages that this content violates community standards. 2 days after Judge Doty rendered his decision this week, Facebook was still attaching warning labels to an online petition calling on ABC to include me in the upcoming debate. They said that violates community standards, their community standards. The mainstream media was once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles, and it's joined this systemic attack on democracy. It also, the media justifies their censorship on the grounds of combating misinformation, but governments and oppressors don't censor lies. They don't fear lies. They fear the truth, and that's what they censor. And I don't want any of this to sound like a personal complaint, because it's not. For me, it's all part of a journey, and it's a journey that I signed up with. But I need to make these observations because I think they're critical for us doing the thing that we need to do as citizens in a democracy to assess where we are in this country and what our democracy still looks like, and the assumptions about U.S. leadership around the globe. And are we living up? Are we really still a role model for democracy in this country? Or have we made it, a kind of a joke? And here's the good news. While mainstream outlets denied me a critical platform, they didn't shut down my ideas, which have especially flourished among young voters and independent voters, thanks to the alternative media. Many months ago, I promised the American people that I would withdraw from the race if I became a spoiler. A spoiler is someone who will alter the outcome of the election but has no chance of winning. In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory in the face of this relentless systematic censorship and media control. So I cannot in good conscience ask my staff and volunteers to keep working their long hours or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them that I have a real path to the White House. Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the ballot in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats with whom I disagree on the most existential issues: censorship, war, and chronic disease. I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name, my name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me. It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the impossible by collecting 1 million signatures, we changed the national political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption, breaking our addiction to war have moved to the center of politics. I can say to all who have worked so hard the last year and a half, thank you for a job well done. 3 great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, a war in Ukraine, and the war on our children. I've already described some of my personal experiences and struggles with the government's censorship industrial complex. I want to say a word about the Ukraine war. The military industrial complex has provided us with a familiar comic book justification, like they do on every war, that this one is a noble effort to stop a supervillain, Vladimir Putin, invading the Ukraine and then to thwart his Hitler-like march across Europe. In fact, tiny Ukraine is a proxy in a geopolitical struggle initiated by the ambitions of the U.S. neocons for American global hegemony. I'm not excusing Putin for invading Ukraine. He had other options. But the war is Russia's predictable response to the reckless neocon project of extending NATO to encircle Russia, a hostile act. The credulous media rarely explain to Americans that we unilaterally walked away from 2 intermediate nuclear weapons treaties with Russia and then put nuclear-ready Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland. This is a hostile act. And that the Biden White House repeatedly spurned Russia's offer to settle this war peacefully. The Ukraine war began in 2014 when U.S. agencies overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine and installed a hand-picked pro-Western government that launched a deadly civil war against ethnic Russians in Ukraine. In 2019, America walked away from a peace treaty, the Minsk Agreement, that had been negotiated between Russia and Ukraine by European nations. And then in April of 2022, we wanted the war. In April of 2022, President Biden sent Boris Johnson to Ukraine to force President Zelensky to tear up a peace agreement that he and the Russians had already signed, and the Russians were withdrawing troops from Kiev and Donbass and Lugansk. And that peace agreement would have brought peace to the region and would have allowed Donbass and Lugansk to remain part of Ukraine. President Biden stated that month that his objective in the war was regime change in Russia. His Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, simultaneously explained that America's purpose in the war was to exhaust the Russian army, to degrade its capacity to fight anywhere else in the world. These objectives, of course, have nothing to do with what they were telling Americans about protecting Ukraine's sovereignty. Ukraine is a victim in this war, and it's a victim of the West. Since then, of Russia and both Russia and the West. Since then, we have, since tearing up that agreement, forcing Zelensky to tear up the agreement, we've squandered the flower of Ukrainian youth, as many as 600,000 Ukrainian kids and over 100,000 Russian kids, all of whom we should be mourning, have died, and the Ukraine's infrastructure is destroyed. The war has been a disaster for our country as well. We squandered nearly $200 billion already, and these are badly needed dollars in our communities, suffering communities all over our country. The Nord Stream pipeline sabotage and the sanctions have destroyed Europe's industrial base, which formed the bulwark of U.S. national security. A strong Germany with a strong industry is a much, much stronger deterrent to Russia, and a Germany that is deindustrialized and turned into just an extension of U.S. military base. We've pushed Russia into a disastrous alliance with China and Iran. We're closer to the brink of nuclear exchange than at any time since 1962. And the neocons in the White House don't seem to care at all. Our moral authority and our economy are in shambles. And the war gave rise to the emergence of BRICS, which now threatens to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency. This is a first-class calamity for our country. Judging by her bellicose, belligerent speech last night in Chicago, we can assume that President Harris will be an enthusiastic advocate for this and other neocon military adventures. And President Trump says that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight as soon as he becomes president. This alone would justify my support for his campaign.
No.
What's up, guys? So listen, he's obviously, the speech is going a little bit long. I'm going to go really quick and ask everybody about their takeaways, and then I'll say my piece. I mean, by the way, he was late by how many minutes? 40
minutes.
40 minutes. And, like, I mean, like, and by the way, Kelly's here. Rob O'Rourke had to go do podcast prep.
Rob
Some of you guys,
Gargiulo.
Rob Gargiulo. I'm sorry, Rob O'Rourke. My brain is much. But Kelly,
We lost
you just-
Brandon, too.
Kelly, you watched the whole thing. What do you expect? What did you think? How you feeling?
We're not a battleground state, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
No, we're a red
So-
state.
We're red.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, we're red. We're obviously a red state. I would love to vote for him because I loved that speech. He's 100. Everything I wish I could say in such an articulate manner, he said. The point I made on a previous episode about how the Democrats orchestrated this whole thing. They put Biden up knowing they were going to take him out and put the person in that they could control as Kamala Harris. The media being warped, which is why I'm so proud to work at Valuetainment, and that anybody from any part of the conversation can be a part of that decision. Long story short, I wish I could vote for him. I think he's a great candidate. I also lean right as a Republican. I just think it's commendable. I'm confused about the not dropping out, because wouldn't he's so I see what he's saying, right? He's saying that if you're already in a red state, it's probably going to be red. If you're already in a blue state, it's probably going to be blue. But if enough of you vote for me in the middle, then I have a chance. Versus he's taking himself out of battleground states so that he doesn't sway it to Kamala Harris to win.
Guys, we got to wrap up. We've been amazing. For all the people.
This freaking guy is still talking.
He's still
by the
going,
way.
by the way.
Just keep him muted. Show the video.
Yeah,
It has been over a half an hour.
Guys, he just endorsed Trump.
What?
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Put it up again.
Put it up.
Come
That's what
on.
I'm doing.
They
We
take
take-
back everything
we
he
take
said.
everything
What are you doing?
back.
Put it back.
All right. Glad.
Guys, long story short, we had an end time, which we are way past, and we're a media company, so we have a lot of other
Ingesting
shows
so many
going on
of
right
these
now.
hormones.
So we needed to step off. That's why we weren't able to broadcast the entire RFK speech to you. But I guess he just announced, and Pat just retweeted it, that
What
he
the-
did endorse Trump.
All
So
right.
these guys all apologize
Well,
for everything
guess
they've
what?
said.
No, we
No,
have to-
I apologize for nothing. To quote an icon, Conor McGregor, and another famous Conor, I'd like to apologize.
Absolutely
fucking nobody.
So
All
wait,
right.
so RFK has officially endorsed Trump and removed his name from the ballot. Oh, well, that's the 10 swing states. Is that
Yeah.
endorsing Trump?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, I
This
gotta
has
go.
been-
I love
well,
you,
guys,
buddy.
listen. Let me
Like,
tell you something, too.
That's
If
what I'm
it's
saying.
what we heard and he's just taking himself off that's not, to me, it's not endorsing him. It's not destroying him. It's not hindering him. But anyway, listen, guys, all this talk, we have another, how many more days till the actual election?
70.
Wow, you know the answer?
Guys, 75, is it 75, Cal?
I don't know.
Well, listen, it's
I just do the
until
3,000.
70 days. Just be ready, guys, because it's going to keep getting crazier. It's going to keep getting wild. Like, it's not far from over. I cannot wait for her to actually have to sit down and talk with Trump. I'm interested to see if she's ever going to do anything unscripted. But, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys, I can't express with words how much I love and appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed, our number ones, you guys are always going to be here, and I love you. But the new people, please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys, we've had a long week. I want to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you guys more than you know. We will see you guys next week. Take care of each other, because at the end of the day, guys, it's us. It's about love, and it is really us against them. So love each other. Don't let them get us in each other's way, okay? Love always wins. We'll see you guys next week. Peace and love.